My name is Osmic Menoe, from Bon Kotladi, that's in Deep Soweto, single parent environment, with my mom's, got like a little brother. Pretty much nothing exciting about my life. I'm just the dude who grew up, in love with a culture, a movement called hip hop, and that's sort of what gets me to doing a lot of the things that I do. Well, hip hop is my job. I work for hip hop. To me, obviously, once again, it's what it means is that it's an American culture that I think brings a lot of hope. That the reason I think why a lot of us or a lot of youth around the world sort of fell in love with it or adopted it as a culture. There's this whole thing about freedom of expression, because as a young kid, you're constantly trying to find ways to express, whether it's artistically, whether it's with your mouth, whether it's with movement, and that's what it means to me, and that's how I come to sort of fall in love with it. Look, the vision behind the South African Hip Hop Awards comes when obviously we had a store called Ritual Stores for about 13 years in Newtown, and the point of the store once again was to how do we congregate movement and culture under the same building. And at that point we also had the Hennessy Back to the City International Festival, which was now growing in like crazy numbers, and when I looked at the culture also where it came from, it made so much sense to me to say it's time for this thing to celebrate itself. It's time for us to acknowledge that you've done well, you've done this, you've done that, because once again, 9 years ago, there was no really award ceremony that cared about us, and also if you remember 9-10 years ago, there was actually no sort of genre that had its own award ceremony, right? These are facts. And hip hop came and created their own award ceremony called the South African Hip Hop Awards. And I think what also was amazing is the fact that years later, other genres started saying, if these hip hop guys can do it, so can we. So the other projects that we're busy with or we've been working on, obviously besides the South African Hip Hop Awards, 2 years back we launched the South African Hip Hop Association, which is it's still in its very infancy, where point once again of it is to say, how do we protect this culture of ours, because obviously over the years there's been stories about artists being ripped off. There's stories about artists trying to collaborate with other artists overseas. How do we foster all these things? How do we come up with insurance plans? How do we become grown up? That's what really the association will be about. And obviously right now we are at the South African Hip Hop Museum, which once again 4 years ago was just a dream. Years later we're sitting in one. Right now behind us this is the Hennessy Wall of Fame. So that's what we're busy with. The space should be probably complete in the next 2 years or so. And then obviously there's the Back to the City still. Obviously this year we didn't have it because of COVID. Hopefully next year, the party will be on. So these are some of the projects that we've been working on. Yeah. Literally all our projects, the challenges will always be money, because a lot of the projects that we do have always been self-funded. Once again, they always say passion will kill you. I'm testament to passion killing. I'm probably dying bit by bit every day, because it's that belief and it's that understanding to say it will make sense at some point. So whatever 50 cents I have, whatever 5 rand I have, I'm gonna put it in and invest it, even if I don't reap the benefits, maybe a generation after will. And that's what the point of this museum is. So the challenge has always been that money, because we knock on government, some understand, some don't understand. And also I think what we're doing here, it's a little bit out there because it's never been seen. When I told people we're building a South African hip hop museum, they were confused, like, a museum. And I tell people, like, yeah, I own a museum, it's like a weird thing, But hopefully once again down the line, more sort of thinking like this will start. I think the expectation when people come to the South African Hip Hop Museum is obviously getting to understand, first of all, African culture from the perspective of music, that's for one. Because we always say things like graffiti, you can trace graffiti once again back to rock art. Who did rock art? It was Africans, right? So these are the subject matters that we'll be talking about. Things like the drum, like why is it that a drum beat touches your soul? Why is it in hip hop the drum is the important thing? You know what I mean? So these are some of, like, once again, thinking we'll be touching. And obviously it also just explores the history of it. What happened in Cape Town in the 80s? How did this thing spread to the different provinces? Who is this guy called Casper who filled up stadiums? Because once again, it might not sound like a big deal right now to say a hip hop museum or a wall of fame. But what's going to happen is, in 40 years time, in 50 years time, when all of us here are dead, our kids' will be the ones coming here. And then it will start making sense. So I think that's what people can expect. And I mean, videos like this, I always say is that I try to speak to people in the future, not in the present, because at some point someone's going to go back to this footage 60 years, 80 years from now, and only then that person will make perfect sense for them to say, oh snap, that's why that museum was created. So this is definitely created for you looking at this 80 years, 100 years from now. Where can people find me? People can find me nowhere. I'm not obviously easily accessible as well, due to obviously like getting like 5,000, I'm a rapper, can you help me rap? My mom is a rapper, but they can definitely find the work that we do, because that's what's important. It's not about me, it's about the work that we do. So definitely www.backtothecityfestival.com. If you're an upcoming rapper, if you're a rapper, you're a graffiti artist, you're a designer, you're a dancer, that's the platform for you to check out, because once again, that festival has changed a lot of lives.